Hello. So welcome to part one of our March 2021 Star Wheel Astrology and Healing newsletter. And this focuses on Joe Biden, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, and is entitled "Darkness Will Rise Now to Be Healed in the USA." So this post needs to be read in unison with other posts on this topic, which are also part of the March 2021 Star Wheel Astrology newsletter. So they are the spiritual message of now, Kamala Harris will become powerful now, Joe Biden will decline now, Donald Trump is on the road to power now. And also look at part 6A of our March newsletter, which is the Astrology of March 2021 overall summary, and 6B, the Astrology of March 2021 major features. And also definitely have a look at the Mars Rahu violence newsletter, which is part 7. So basically we're being given a forced opportunity now, a forced opportunity to embrace the light. And this is because of the darkness rising in the energies ahead, looking at the astrology of the upcoming 4 years. Actually, I've looked into this really carefully and I have 7 well-researched reasons that are compelling me to make this major and challenging prediction. And I also outline what I believe is the needed and best spiritual response we can each make to this ongoing confrontational situation. So the 7 reasons which have prompted me to make this prediction are: 1. Joe Biden will start a decline following the Mars-Rahu transit occurring in Taurus, exact 28th of March 2021. Second, the effect of the Pluto Return in the USA. Third, the fact that the USA is in Sade now. Fourthly, Uranus transiting Vedic Aries, that energy. Fifthly, the fact that the USA is in the austere and hard and difficult Rahu Saturn Dasha now. Sixthly, analysis of the eclipses between now and 2024, which play a profound role. And seventhly, the recession that is upcoming following the transit of Jupiter into Capricorn. Now, as a support to reading this blog and the associated video, have a look at the charts. The charts are in our Star Wheel Astrology March 2021 website page, and the address of that page is in the blog. Okay, let's briefly look at the 3 main players in the USA upcoming. Joe Biden. I don't see that he will be assassinated, but I do see that he will have to take a back seat because of the way the energies of the current Mars-Rahu transiting conjunction, exact 28th of March, will impact on his birth chart specifically. Secondly, Kamala Harris will be super powerful, and I believe that she will manage to outface Xi Jinping, the leader of China, in an upcoming confrontation. Thirdly, Donald Trump. It looks like Donald Trump will promote endlessly divisiveness against her, keeping the country in darkness and division. He is significantly rising in power and success over the coming period from now. It looks like he'll likely win the 2024 election. But before we go more into the detail, there are actually 2 twists to the start of this tale. The first twist, importantly, is the fateful and possibly deeply sinister prediction that Donald Trump made on Thursday the 8th of October 2020 to Fox News, Joe's not lasting 2 months as president. Donald Trump claimed that the then Democratic nominee Joe Biden would either die or be overthrown by communist forces in his own party early in his term if he is elected in November. Of Kamala Harris, Donald Trump went on to say, she is a communist. The second twist is that regarding Kamala Harris now, I'd also add that she's coming into exceptional great power now. I show a chart which demonstrates that on the Star Wheel Astrology March 2021 website page. And she'll indeed successfully deal with an upcoming military crisis with China that looks likely. And I say this from analysis of both the charts of Xi Jinping and the country of China and the upcoming eclipses. So, also see my super important analysis of what we are best called to do to deal with this growing upcoming situation. And I've entitled it The Spiritual Message of Now. So now let's look at the 7 reasons that call me to make this prediction of difficult times ahead. They're as follows. The first one, the trigger is pulled. Joe Biden will start a decline following the Mars-Rahu transit occurring in Taurus exact this month, the 28th of March. The current Mars-Rahu transit is extremely violent, and see my separate blog on Joe Biden where I demonstrate it will have a quite disabling impact on him. But also see my separate blog and video on Kamala Harris, where she will become super empowered in the present time, according to very reliable indicators, particularly from Western psychodynamic astrology. And she'll step in to defend the breach. But also see my separate blog and video on Donald Trump's position now, namely that the Mars-Rahu conjunction will be very good for Donald Trump, and that's because it's in his 10th house of career, as will the energy of the Jupiter transit now, which creates a grand trine in his chart, and the Jupiter transit where Jupiter conjuncts his natal Sun Rahu conjunction at the actual time of the presidential election, and also the eclipse energy just before the next presidential election favours him. Second major energy is crucial and vast, and that is the Pluto return of the USA. So I would predict that the USA is in a period of growing divisiveness and turmoil, certainly for the next 4 years. That's because Pluto in the heavens is closing inexorably on Pluto in the birth chart of the United States. The actual hits are May 2023, February 2024, July 2024, and December 2024. And basically, Pluto return creates a scenario of rising darkness because each of us individuals and every country has to get in touch with its darkness and heal it. And indeed, in the healing of the buried darkness, power will manifest. Indeed, so often a person or a country's true power can be buried in the abyss, because the Pluto return transit is in fact a journey to the abyss. And we all need to do journeys to the abyss at times in our life to cleanse ourselves of our shadows and darkness and wounds, because they weigh us down and prevent us from receiving the light. And having done the journey to the abyss, we can then return to the surface of the earth and much better and fully receive the light of the divine. And of course the ancient mythic parallels to that are Pluto and Persephone, and the descent into the underworld of Ishtar, also called Inanna, in Mesopotamian theology. So Pluto is about amassing power and contacting buried power, buried in the shadow. But of course, governments and individuals, we can seek power in a dysfunctional way. But we're each here, including countries, to contact our right and needed power. See my separate blog section on doing the journey to the abyss. The third and next point in my analysis is the fact that the USA is in Sade Sate now. Sade Sate is the very challenging period that occurs in our lives and in the lives of countries where Saturn transits in the sign occupied by the moon in the country's birth chart or the person's birth chart. Saturn then transits through the sign occupied by the moon. Saturn then transits through the sign after that. So there's 3 signs. There's a Saturn transit of 3 signs. They're always huge in an individual life and in a country. It's a malefic and challenging 7.5-year period, but if we handle it well, we actually find the new you, the new country, and the new life path forward, because the old one was the subject of wrong conditioning and was unreal and bad for us. So the USA natal moon is at 7 degrees Aquarius. At the time of writing, Saturn is at 14 degrees Capricorn. So the exact central date of the USA Sade Sate is the 18th of February 2023. Sade Sate ensures that we can't go on in our outmoded structures and ways. Often through suffering, we are forced to find the better path to the light, the better identity, the better structures within which to live our life. So the fourth and next point is that Uranus is transiting Vedic Aries now. The last time Uranus transited Vedic Aries, Hitler burned down the Reichstag, brought in the Second World War, and that is the energy of Uranus transiting Vedic Aries at its strongest and worst. Aries, when Uranus is transiting there, is the storming of the Bastille. It's needed revolution in our life. But its violence and iconoclasm can be hijacked by bad leaders, obviously. The next point, number 5, the USA is in Rahu Saturn Dasha now. Vedic astrology has a magnificent series of predictive periods, each of which is more powerful than transits, but it's more background than transits, which are more a foreground influence in predicting the future. Rahu Saturn is a stern and restrictive, hard endurance energy, and it's a hard labour energy. And if you want to analyse it further, do note that the USA has Rahu in its 8th house, in the very difficult nakshatra of Ashlesha at the end of Cancer. Rahu is the north node of the moon, and do note that Ketu, always opposite, this is so important. It's also activated, of course, because it's opposite Rahu. Ketu in the USA chart is conjunct Pluto. There is in the previous destiny of that country an energy of power used wrongly and meltdown, and that almost, as it were, past life country creating energy is arising to be dealt with again now. Next, eclipses will play a profound role. The eclipses of 2023 will play a profound role. Well, and that's just for one example, because the solar eclipse of October the 14th, 2023, passes through the southern USA, and its eclipse energy will be compounded because the eclipse path of a subsequent eclipse, the 8th of April 2024 in the next year, will also pass through the southern USA, and the two eclipse transits will cross. Eclipses are the undamming of dammed up energy. Dammed up energy will be undammed. I've looked through all the upcoming eclipses between now and the next presidential election, and they impact so significantly, for example, on the charts of Kamala Harris, the Chinese leader, and also Donald Trump. So the seventh and final point in my analysis is that this Jupiter transit will bring recession. Jupiter is deeply fallen in Vedic Capricorn, and so recession has started. The last time Jupiter was in Vedic Capricorn was in 2008, because of course the Jupiter orbit takes 12 years to go around the Sun. So we're there again, and indeed surrounding me on this landscape are what could be called the McMansions built on finance, standing half completed in some patches of this area, many of them, because people borrowed too much and the housing market crashed, the economy crashed. The same thing happened in Ireland and England. Okay, the stock market is artificially buoyed from the present, but when Jupiter re-enters Capricorn after briefly dipping into Aquarius, when Jupiter re-enters Capricorn on the 14th of September, then the recession will really hit, and it will last a couple of years. So the crash will certainly have occurred by October 2023. The recession will continue until 2025. Notice how these years, 2023, 2024, keep coming up. So I'm wishing you personally happiness and success, and finding the spiritual message for you that is in these challenging circumstances. I'm wishing you to find the right ray of the light that is right for you. Get in touch with me for an astrology reading on my Star Wheel Astrology website, or get in touch with my wife Maggie Pashley, who does many, many healings online, and her website is www.maggiepashley.com. So, wishing you all the best, and after very careful and long research, I felt it was best to share what I see as the true nature of the upcoming period to 2024. Thank you.